And a bunch of people, man. I don't know. This is their fault. Um, so I want to go into. I'll do a little bit of training, and then I got a more like the mindset training, which is going to be very, very highly effective. Um, I want to talk about a close I did last night for Kevin. It was a guy. He was a bull personality, but stone faced. So there was some notes in there before I got to the point. By the way, this was the if you're gonna have a good close, you got to have a good set. And I tell you guys this all the time. So it's about engaging their curiosity, absolutely getting them interested in the value proposition, but also finding and setting clear expectations for people. So once again, on a goods quality set, you're setting realistic expectations. We're not popping by. We're going to come and show them how this works. We're going to get them interested and curious into what we have to offer. You've really got to be able to dig deep and find this. And I think the two appointments I ran for Kevin, they were badass sets. Both of those people were they were under the impression they had the right expectations there, and it was because what was said on the doors. If I go to my own set, and I basically closed one of my deals this week, I put it under Dimitri, but like, dude, these people were already engaged and wanted this from the conversations that we had on the door. So what I'm going to stress to you guys, if you want lots more closes in your setting, is to set better quality appointments. Set them with clear expectations on what we're going to do and get them curious and engaged in the value proposition. So both of the sets that I did yesterday, I say I'm a badass closer, but both of those sets were kind of relatively easy to do because they were both under the clear expectations of what we were going to do when we got there. Now, the other thing I want to point out though too, on the secondary one and the secondary appointment that I had, the first one they were drinking, so this one was easy. They were drinking. It's like 3 o'clock. They were slam dunking shit, dude. And I'm like, let's go. They're offering me drinks. I'm like, no thanks. I got a bunch of appointments. But what I want to point out though is the secondary one. The guy was this. Uh, he was a bull, but he had absolutely no feedback. Like he was stone faced, just had these piercing eyes, sitting very close to me, and just was like listening to what I said, but gave me no feedback, no expressions. There was no feedback, so I just keep rolling through. So a lot of times too, if you guys, what I've noticed, and this is something that when I very first started doing this, I remember I closed a deal of this guy, and he gave me no feedback. I just like transition through the cell. Usually communication, the art of communication is we will tell people things and then we will look at their micro expressions and engage what we're going to say next by how they're communicating with us. And so one of the challenges in being able to set an appointment or close a deal is if you're getting no feedback. You can't see if they're interested. They're not giving you not interested. They're not giving you interested. They're stone faced, just sitting there the whole time. Like you could tell they're a little bit listening, but you don't know, like, okay, well, what have I said that really engage these people? And by the way, too, if you're talking to people, whether at the door or at the kitchen table, you know if people are interested, they'll start leaning in. They'll start having like micro expressions that we're picking up on subconsciously that we'll be able to see whether or not these people are actually engaged or not. So the client yesterday, like, dude, stone face, like, just sat there the whole time. And then his wife was a district attorney. So she was a district attorney for Pinell County. And I asked her where she worked. She's like, "Oh, I work for the county." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." But it finally came out that she's the district attorney. So she's an attorney. Usually these people, they're very precise on their language. These people went through 8 years of schooling, and they're very intelligent people for the most part. So um, the one thing I was on point yesterday, like I know when I'm good, and yesterday I was on good. But what I want to talk about is the reframe. So the note said that he wanted to buy this, but he never told me anything. I said, "Hey, why did you guys want to meet with us today?" And he's like, "Well, Kevin, we want to save 30%." He's like, "Yeah, Kevin was talking about 30% savings." And I'm like, "Okay, so that was the whole interest is you guys are just interested in the savings, right?" And the wife was just a bystander. She was just along for the ride, but really, he was the one that was in control and the decision maker. But when I saw the notes, it said that he had interested in buying. So I launched into exactly why I think that the lease is best. And the lease is the best. It's the best it's ever been. You guys don't understand how lucky you are. We'll be able to do batteries and solar systems, save people money. It is astronomically better than it's ever looked before. And so I feel that the lease is the best option for anybody. I don't care if you have millions of dollars sitting around. I think the lease is the best deal. And so I'm going to obviously ecologically persuade people to do the lease. And you're going to get these people. So I launched into this and I explained exactly my process and my system about why the lease makes so much sense and how people used to buy this. And then when I'm done, because this guy gave me no feedback, I'm about to launch in numbers. He's like, yeah, but what you're talking about a lease, I don't want a lease. I want to buy it. And this is like my entire structure of the presentation was geared towards a lease. There's a completely different presentation for a loan or a purchase. It's completely different. It's different values. And so he told me this, and rather than be like, okay, but like rather than addressing this head on, I question, right? So when someone gives you an objection, it's very important that you don't just overcome the objection, but you really figure out what their position is. So don't just launch into, we know what the answer is, we're going to answer this, but instead ask questions. Like this is important. So like I immediately after gearing up towards this, I'm like, well, we might do a purchase, but let me kind of tell you, like, why is it super important for you to buy this versus leasing it? And of course, he did his research and he heard all the lease stuff. Well, what is bad about lease? What's the bad stuff they hear about lease? What's the main one? Like you guys should all answer this unanimously. It's the resale value. So he's like, well, all the research I said, I said, and immediately, so what I did is I understood that how he was looking at this, and I understood his perspective. And rather than saying, "Oh, dude, that's wrong. It's no longer like that," I'm like, "Dude, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. When you went to sell your house and you had one of these things, it definitely would prohibit the sale, the reconveyance, or the refinancing, or the sale of the home. And you're exactly right because what these leases used to have is when you went to sell the home, the new homeowner had to qualify. They had a 700 credit score. They had to meet a debt to income criteria. And although you could qualify for the house, you couldn't qualify for this. So it really gave solar a big black eye. And so, but let me kind of tell you how this program is completely different. And so the way this program is like, obviously we've learned from mistakes. This was up until 2017 that there was these strict requirements to qualify for these things. But there's no lien on the house. We're not going to, in our contract states specifically that we will not hold up the sale of the home, the reconveyance or refinancing of the home. There's no lien on the home. You let us know 15 days in advance and we'll easily and effortlessly transfer this to the new homeowner. It's not going to inhibit you. It's actually going to propel you forward because our research shows that homes that have solar sell 14% faster on the market. And so the other thing too is you're not having to worry about having an appraiser give you the cost of this and be able to recoup your investment that you made on this thing. But I said, what I'll do is I'll show you both. And I'll show you both and I'll let you choose. Either option that you choose, whether you choose to buy it or you choose to buy the power off your rooftop, is going to be a better situation than where you're in. Would you agree? Is that fair? He said, yeah, that's fair. I said, because I already framed him with the price increases from the utility company and they'd already seen that anyways. So it was a confirmation of that. So immediately I launched into it. I said, and I said, someone say something. So I immediately asked him, I said, and I immediately wanted to zero it down and see if they were even interested in all. And I asked him, I said, so like, let me know if you guys are even interested in seeing this. If not, we'll just do the purchase and I'll show you what that looks like. And they're like, and the wife piped up. He didn't pipe up. The wife piped up. Yeah, we want to look at both. And so I immediately went in there and I showed him the loan first because I knew it was going to look like shit. I knew for a fact the loan was going to look like shit. The loan was $65,000. Dude, his bill was 317. It was going to jump his bill up to 427 a month. And I said, this is exactly why that I think this is the best option. So let me show you what this looks like. Now, here's the benefits. You can pay this thing off whenever you want. You, in turn, you get the tax credits and you can make a decision whether or not you want to dump those into the investment or you can keep those. Now, if you keep those, this is what your price goes up to is over 500 something dollars a month. I said, I don't think that's a good look. And now if you'll let me show you what this lease looks like. And I'm going to warn you too, it looks too good to be true. But remember why? Because the government incentivizes us to do this and they give us more money than what you're going to receive. They give us more than the 30%. And then I showed them the lease and it was like 251 a month. So, dude, it was a no-brainer. Like it was, I could see by the expression on the wife's face that this was going to go. And so I said, out of both options, which one do you like? Which one do you like more? And of course, what they said the least. So I took this guy. This wasn't about selling the guy solar. This was about changing and reframing his mind. But one thing I didn't do, I didn't get into like a resistance match and start arguing with him or start telling him he's wrong. Like, you're absolutely right, 100%. And then what I did is I reframed it. So we talk about reframing all the time. They have their position, we understand their position, and then it's very important for us that we don't come head on and argue with someone because then we're going to get a huge resistance match. But instead, we figure out what their position is, and then we reframe this into still giving them what they want. I still want to give these people what they want. The mistakes that I've made in the past is getting into a resistance match, telling people they're wrong. You will lose a sale 100% of the time. In fact, somebody was trying to sell me some shit yesterday, and I was on an hour-long Zoom call. And dude, this guy's wrote a book called The Sales Boss. And this guy got in an argument with me, telling me I'm wrong. I'm like, dude, I will give me your shit for free, and I'll give you fucking some free, and I'll give you some sales training because you suck, dude. This guy wrote a fucking book. Literally, he wrote a book called The Sales Boss. And he was like getting in an argument with me and like making me like look like I was dumb or making it look like my business model was bad. And I'm like, dude, this guy needs some sales training. You wrote a book called Sales Boss, but bro, like, you need sales training. But here's the thing though, we don't want to get in a resistance match. We want to agree and empathize, but not sympathize. We can agree and we can understand their position, and then you have to reframe it. But absolutely, we have a purchase and we have a lease. Like, I think that the lease is best. It's going to be best for you. You can buy it and you can buy out of it in 5 years. But I'll show you both. But let me kind of tell you, give you some information on both of these things. And so no longer was I selling this guy. I was a communicator with him, and I was an advisor. I'm no longer like a salesperson. I want people to view me as an advisor, and you all should want people to view you as an advisor, not a salesperson. You're a confidant that is advising them and educating them on a good decision to make. If you can make this look like you are the advisor and you are educating people, you will get these people almost 100% of the time, because they don't have to feel like their shield's got to be up and that you have an agenda. I said, I think I know what's best for you, but dude, at the end of the day, you get to choose. And so also at the end, like, getting him to choose between $100 more per month or saving $60 a month was an absolute no-brainer. Like, it is a no-brainer. Like, dude, this made sense on every single level. So eventually I ended up like persuading him to be able to make a decision like this. And it was all because of right reframe. Now, if I would have gone into it and if I would have been like, no, 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 it's not like that anymore. Let me tell you how it is. I'm like, dude, you're absolutely right. And I see why you would feel like that. You're absolutely right. That's exactly how it used to be. So let me tell you why this program is completely different. And then I reframed it, and then I showed him both options. And obviously, I want him to make a decision to do the lease. It was the same PPW as it was for the purchases for the lease. I just think that leases are much better for people. It's a 25-year warranty on the battery. They don't get that with the other one. But I still showed him some of the positives with making a decision and going to the purchase. If somebody gives you an objection and you ask questions and you figure out their position, remember, figuring out their position is not thinking of in the context of your agenda, but instead getting in their shoes and figuring out what their agenda is. If we can really kind of identify what their agenda is and see it from their perspective, we know if you're a solar professional, which all of you guys are, we know what's options best. So maybe the guy was like, well, listen, I just want to own stuff. I have a bunch of cash that I want to give out, and there is burning a hole in my pocket, and I just want to own it. Be like, okay, great. Like, I understand that position. I'm not going to try and persuade you to do a lease if that's your position. I'll tell you why the cash option is good. I'll tell you why the lease option is good, and then I'll let you choose between the two. At the end of the day, it's your choice. And so putting it back in their court rather than getting in a resistance match, someone gives you an objection. It's very important that I always tell you guys to make sure that you're asking questions and probing about, is this the true objection? What's the underlying factor? And you got to understand, behind every single objection, there's good intention. In fact, behind any behavior, thoughts, or feelings, there's good intention behind everything, just to let you guys know this. What I mean by that is, like, maybe they have an objection out there. Well, the objection, whatever the objection is, if you really go layers down, layers deep, you're going to find out that it's for self-preservation, it's for safety, it's for control. It's one of these other things. And so if we understand the intention, we don't attack the objection. We reframe their intention. Their intention might be, I want to buy this because I want to avoid the problems that I'll have with selling my house. Now we understand, like, he wants safety and control. That's what I understood. And so rather than fighting the objection head on, I framed the lease option as giving him the intention behind the objection. Does this make sense to you guys? So this is why we ask questions and we probe and we figure out what people's positions are, and then you seek more than just the surface value. You're going to go layers deep to figure out what's the intention behind this. What are they trying to achieve? They'll throw out an objection out there, but they're trying to achieve something. And I'll tell you what, the next level salesperson is the person that can find and dig deep and find that intention. Because if you find that intention and you know the root of the objection, then all you have to do is reframe our position in a way that fulfills their intention. Are you guys understanding this?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
have a
that's
quick
super
question.
good.
Can you say that again, Luke?
What's that?
Can you say the last part again?
So if you search layers deep inside of an objection, you're going to find their intention. What is their intention? Are they trying to have safety? Are they trying to have control? Are they trying to have peace of mind? Are they trying? What is it? Like, there's layers deep. People are usually going to be acting from an objection is usually some fear-based objection. It's usually going to have it attached to a limiting belief. But for us, it's about seeking layers deep into the objection to find exactly what it is, and then reframe our position that will fulfill the intention. And if you I try to look at my own actions and my own thoughts, feelings, and behavior, and I understand that, like, dude, like, it's a different, and what we go down to, it's a different strategy. So, like, their strategy is throwing an objection out there because they don't understand that they can have the fulfillment of their intention behind those objections inside of what we offer. So if people want safety and control, solar's the best decision to make. If people want a better quality of life, solar's the decision to make. Right? Like, dude, if people want less problems, solar decision to make. So they can be towards or away, but if you find the underlying intention, you want to reframe our proposition into their intention and not address the behavior or the objection head on. That's really dumb. You're going to get a resistance match because now they feel like they're being attacked. So this alone, understanding that intentional part of the process, or intention of whatever their position is, going to give you guys the upper hand to be able to reframe our value proposition. Does this make sense? Do you guys understand this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So any one of the other appointment that Kevin set for me, these people just got a solar installed 2 months ago. I didn't even know they had solar on the house. The satellite view did not have solar on their house because it was outdated. And so I went in there thinking that this was a brand new solar deal with a perfect roof. And what I found out by talking and asking them questions, they got solar. They had it installed 2 months ago. They saved $5 on their utility bill last month with a solar system with a new $115 utility bill. So I had to put all of them on the north side, and their bill went up to $100. I did not talk about savings. I talked about control and freedom and actually finishing what they started. So if you guys are going to houses that have solar, I'll give you a one-liner that works all the time. That will work every single time. I'd rather you guys not do solar houses, but if you're going to do solar houses, I'm going to give you a one-liner that works every time. You ready? And I want you to write this down. Hey, you starting the process of solar was awesome. You guys had good intentions. What we're going to do is finish what you started. We are going to finish what you started. Now, the first appointment I ran, dude, these people got screwed. They even asked about batteries, and this idiot who was with OWE and Palmetto. By the way, they were with OWE and Palmetto, and I sold them a Palmetto with OWE again. But let me just tell you right now, the thing is that these people, I had to figure out, and this is where question-based selling comes into play. I have an agenda. I know what I want to accomplish at the house. I have my well-formed outcome, but I got to make sure this is going to be in alignment with what their outcome wants to be. And so this is where you ask questions and you figure out their position. You understand their position. Why did you make a decision to go solar? What was the intention behind it? And if they're experiencing problems, what problems are you experiencing and how can we help? And what I realized is like, oh, okay, what they want, they don't want to be on a time of use like what they're currently having to use, and they don't want to save $5 a month. So like, are like, okay, so what? I didn't talk about savings or $100 more per month, but I had to frame it in a way that gave them the fulfillment, which was peace of mind, control, and freedom. So I just harped and I relooped peace of mind, control, and freedom over and over again. And then it was an easy deal. So let's move on to actually the training today. So what I want to do is, and I did this with a couple of you guys. I sent you a couple texts. I met with a couple of you guys, and I set the intention for this as well. So what I want to go over, let me pull it up right here. So I want to just kind of go over standards, right? So a lot of you guys in here, your standards are subpar. They're below mediocre. And what I mean by subpar or mediocre is that your standards, you guys will accept a standard that's way, way beneath you. And so your life is a direct reflection of your standards, not your goals. So your standards have to raise up to meet whatever standards that you're going to have. So by the way, like everybody's standard that's on the call today should be a minimum, an absolute minimum of 1 sale a week, period. There's no like, dude, if your standard is 1 sale, like no matter what, you guys will make it happen. But a lot of you guys probably like, okay, well, I didn't get a sale last week. I didn't get a sale 2 weeks ago. I didn't get a sale 3 weeks ago. And then the problem with that is that like you guys have this feedback, this internal loop, and your standard is set like it's okay to not get a deal. None of you guys should be okay to not get a deal every single week. Like, listen, dude, 1 deal a week. This is like everybody on this call can easily and effortlessly do this. What I will tell you is that like your standards are too low. So imagine if your standards are set like no matter what, and you tie this into your identity. By the way, you tie this into your identity. This isn't something that you, Dylan, who are you talking to, bro? Pay fucking attention, bro. You need to hear this more than anybody. Whoever's talking to you right now, tell them to fucking get the fuck out. Now. Dude, this shit pisses me off, dude. One sec. I'm gonna fucking kick this guy out. I'm gonna fucking kick somebody out. Okay. So what I want to say is for you guys, like the standards that we have, we will fall. We're not gonna rise up to the level of our goals. We'll fall to the level of our standards. And so one of the standards that we have to have, I mean, some of the standards that I would highly suggest, and what we want to do is we want to be able to raise everybody's standards so that now instead you're getting the stuff that you'll tolerate. What we want to do is we want to take our shoulds and turn our shoulds into musts. Does this make sense to you guys? So everybody shoulds all over themselves. I should do this. I should do that. I should do this. I should do all of these things. I should do these. But how many of those things are you actually doing? Like shoulds are optional. They're weak. They're weak commitments. While must create necessity, and necessity creates change. If you tie in your standards to who you are as your identity, you will never fall below those standards. What I'm going to tell you guys is a lot of you guys have set these standards that are way, way, way too low. You set standards that are acceptable that should not be acceptable. You set standards that allow you to be subpar or mediocre at best. And so what I'm going to tell you right now is what we have to do is you have to tie in your standards to your identity. So I'm going to give you an example. So one of my standards is I work out. I do hard shit. I do hard stuff. So I work out. I cold plunge. If I see something in front of me that looks like it's going to be a challenge, I do it anyway. If I'm going to be put myself in an uncomfortable position, I do it anyway. Do I want to do that? No. But I've tied in my standard with my identity. So no matter what, if I'm giving a situation, or if I don't want to work out, if I don't want to cold plunge, I didn't want to go out today. I didn't want to do it. Guess what I did? I worked out. I did not want to fucking cold plunge today. Guess what I did? I did a cold plunge. Yesterday, I did not want to take this sales call. I had to talk to this guy for an hour. I did it anyways. So what I did is I roped something into my identity rather than just like my goals are to do this, my goals are to do this. You're going to follow the level of your standards. And so what I would challenge everybody on here is to tie something into at least, and let's do the context of solar. This does not have to be, this is not just solar, but I'm going to tie it into some context of solar because this is solar sales training. You have to have higher standards. Everybody on this call has to have higher standards. Don't have standards that are like unrealistic, but have standards that will force you to make changes and stretch and grow. So the standard alone for everybody on the call should be, I sell a minimum of 1 deal a week, no matter what. So that means if it's Friday or Saturday and you don't have a fucking deal, guess what you're doing? If your standard is like, dude, unacceptable to not get 1 deal a week, that's unacceptable. Dude, you go hard in the paint because it's tied into your identity. You get a deal. And I promise you right now, if you raise up that level of standard, if you raise up your own standards, that no matter what, you won't settle for not getting that 1 deal a week. By the way, this goes across the board. If you raise your standards on any area of your life, compartmentalized, like you will fall the level of your standards. People say, I should work out, but don't. When it becomes, I must work out or I won't recognize myself in the mirror, if you create a must instead of a should, then that means even when you don't want to, even when you're tired, even when you're hurt, even when you're sick, that you force yourself to go work out. Like these are just the standards that everybody on this call needs to have so that they can raise the vibration of their life. Like some of you guys, the standards that are acceptable to you. So one thing for me, like a standard or non-negotiable, I make my bed every day. So when we wake up, like no matter what, I've always made my bed every single day. It makes me feel good. There was a video, a badass video, Justin just sent it out, but just little stuff. And it's not, by the way, this is not like the huge monumental stuff that's in our life. If your standard is that you go hard in the paint and you're a hard worker, and no matter, well, what does that look like? That means I knock 100 doors a day or whatever it looks like. This is the standard that I set. Whether I want to or I don't, I'm someone that does hard stuff. Then eventually you make sure that you're actually doing what's necessary to meet your standard, meet your must. So I'm going to tell you what the should to shift to a must exercise. So write down, I'm going to have you guys do the homework. I'm going to have you write down 5 things you keep saying you must do. And I know everybody on this call has 5 things that you say you should do. I should do this. I should do that. I should do this. I should do that. And you should all over yourself, and then you don't do it, and then it's a feedback loop, and then you say, oh, I should have done that, but I didn't do it, so I'm not going to do it today. So you're going to write down 5 things. Circle one that would create the biggest change if it became a must. So out of the 5 things, I want you to circle one that if you made this a must, that would have the biggest impact in your life. Reframe it into a must with identity language. So what that looks like, I should work out more. I must work out daily because I'm a disciplined leader. I don't care what it is, what kind of language you guys use, be able to frame this in a way that's tied into your identity. This is the trick, because we'll always follow the level of our standards, but the level of our standards are really our identity. So if the level of your identity is like, it's okay to like, I should get 1 deal a week, but it's okay if I don't get a deal a week. Like, it's okay. Like, it's okay. I got to give myself a break. Don't give yourself a break. Don't settle for less than 1 deal a week, period. Nobody on this call should ever settle for less than 1 deal a week. Nobody. And I know it's possible. And I know for a fact that every single person on this call has the ability, the capacity to do 1 deal a week. By the way, maybe it's like I should pray. So I pray because I'm a spiritual person. Whatever the context, give me anything, give me any I should have. We can frame this in a way that makes it, ties into your identity and makes it a must. So now it's non-negotiable. Now it's like something that's part of your identity. If it's part of your identity, you act on it no matter what, no matter if you feel like it or not. We're not waiting to get motivated. We act despite how we might feel. I should knock more doors. I knock 100 doors a day because my future legacy depends on this. So I should knock 100 doors a day. No, I knock 100 doors a day because my future legacy hangs in the balance of me doing this or not doing this. So I do it. This is a hierarchy of criteria. So you have to leverage some different criteria that will make not doing it more painful than doing it. And most of these shoulds are going to come with some sort of limiting belief. So if we talk about limiting beliefs, like the beliefs are the thermostat of your life. You'll always go back. You might go a little bit higher, you might go a little bit lower, but you'll always fall to that thermostat level. What do you have your thermostat set at? So I want you guys, when you find these limiting beliefs, and some of you guys might have a little bit of a challenge here if you haven't done any introspection, but really you have to be able to replace these limiting beliefs with an empowering belief. So there's a process in the system. I don't know if I've done this with you guys with eliminating and eradicating limiting beliefs. First of all, it's the identity. It's the identifying where these limiting beliefs come from. So if you have a limiting belief that really isn't in alignment with who you are as your identity, get rid of it. So when you hear yourself circulating these same words or the same stuff that you're telling yourself, you've got to immediately change it. So you got to be like, no, this doesn't work for me. I'm going to do this instead. And you have to be very specific to be able to do those things. So limiting belief, like, I'm not good at knocking doors. This is absolute complete bullshit. So like, dude, I get better every single day by knocking doors. I get feedback every single day and I improve on being the best closer, best setter, and best closer on the planet every single day by getting the feedback that I get. So you have to reframe some of these things. So if in your shoulds, I guarantee if you do some introspection, you start looking back in the shoulds, you will find a limiting belief there. It's a limiting belief. And if you have a limiting belief there, it's going to continue to perpetuate you to lowering your standards and taking your musts into shoulds. It's the reverse of what we're doing here today. So I'm going to give you the framework if you identify a limiting belief. All of us have limiting beliefs. For me, I'm always seeking out limiting beliefs, and I have a shit ton of them. I'm seeking out limiting beliefs so that I can eradicate those, delete those, and reprogram myself with a more empowering belief. So let's say you identify a limiting belief. Actually, let's take who's going to be brave enough to share a limiting belief they have?
I can.
I got you.
Okay, 2 people jumped up. Eli was first. Go ahead, Eli.
I just feel like sometimes, like I failed so much, and I'll just be honest, my marriage, as a father, like in sales, like I already tried 1 year of sales with my mom. Sometimes when I'm knocking, especially like when I'm knocking alone, like I just feel like shit, man. Like I
Now,
can't do this.
you're not being very descriptive. What would be the limiting belief that's attached to that? Yes, you're using your collective bad experience. You're focusing on your bad experience.
That I'm a failure. That I'm a failure. That I'm not good. Like that's what I believe. I think that's my limiting belief. That I'm not able to set an appointment.
Okay, no, let's go layers deep because you guys watch this. I want you guys to all pay very close attention to this. Now, let's identify the belief. So it's I am a failure, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So and let me tell you what a belief will do. You guys ready for this? So he's identified a limiting belief. Does anybody think that belief is going to propel him forward? Anybody think that limiting belief is going to help him be a better version of himself?
No.
Okay. We could actually, I could do this, but I'm not going to at this point. There's a good intention behind that belief. There's a positive intention. It's a wrong strategy. The positive intention is this: is most of us have this blueprint that we have, and by the way, this is for everybody. We have a blueprint, and and the strategy is like, so I am a failure. So he feels probably there's the intention behind this is he feels like if he tells himself that he won't be a failure anymore, and it'll motivate him to change. But I'm going to be honest with you, you guys can't solve the problem at the same level of thinking that got you that problem. But let's take this limiting belief. I'm going to give you the framework for this. So, Eli, I am a failure, right? This is what your belief is. I am a failure. And by the way, too, if you have a belief, you'll get a confirmation bias of the belief. This is how beliefs work. Pick any belief. If you have a belief, I'm a failure. What do you think Eli is going to find?
Failure.
Failure.
Yeah. So anything bad this guy does, or anytime he doesn't meet the marker, what's reinforced?
Failure.
Yeah.
Failures.
And so this is the feedback that he gets. I have the belief I am a failure. And then what happens? The brain will find all the parts and places and things that he failed at. So he talks about his mom, he talks about his marriage, he talked about being a dad, he talked about this. Dude, we could go endlessly in any situation and follow the confirmation bias. And because now his focus is on what? His focus is on I'm a failure, so I got to look at ways that I failed so that I speak my truth to myself. So, anyways, what I'm going to ask you, I'm going to ask you a couple questions. You ready?
Yeah.
So let's just go this. So, where did this belief come from?
Uh, childhood.
Huh?
Childhood.
Childhood.
Yeah.
So somebody told you something, or you told yourself something. You told yourself that you're a failure. You didn't meet up or exceed expectations. And you told yourself this, and this has been a lie that you've been living for a very long time. Okay. So you found it in childhood. So is it always true? Are you always a failure in everything that you do?
No.
So give me some examples of where you weren't a failure.
I mean, yeah, today I went to the gym. Today I eat clean. That's not a fail, versus eating junk or not waking up. So that's an example
Okay.
of today.
Okay. So what else? Where else? Let's look at the past and find some other ways that this hasn't been true.
Mm. Yeah, I've set appointments this week. I set at least one a day. So that's evidence right there. Um, um, trying to think.
Yeah. If I asked you, tell me all the times you failed, guess what this guy would have?
A
Fucking, this
list.
call wouldn't be long enough, dude. We'd have 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 10 days of him telling me all the ways that he failed. And I'm going to tell you what, your belief will stimulate your thoughts and your focus. So I'm going to ask you right now. So let's remember, because you said you picked it up in childhood. Do you remember a time that belief wasn't true in your childhood?
Yes,
You do?
I do.
Okay. Do you remember a time that you were working for your mom that belief wasn't true?
Yes,
Okay. Do you remember a time with your wife that belief wasn't true?
yes,
Do you remember a time that you're working with your son that belief wasn't true?
yes.
I don't know, you guys. If I'm looking at I am a failure, but this guy just found like 6 different ways that wasn't true. I don't know about you guys, but I would say that belief isn't true. Would you guys agree?
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
100%.
he specifically, the guy came out his first week and sold 2 deals his first week, not knowing shit. Was that a failure?
No.
I would say
Not at all.
pretty successful, right? Would you guys agree?
Yeah.
Mhm.
First week, not knowing a fucking thing. He's on fire. He's passionate. He's enthusiastic. He comes out and fucking fires, shoots 2 deals, and gets them. I would say that's really successful, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, that's really successful. I mean, I wish everybody could sell 2 deals their first week. You guys all be hooked, right? This is how you hook them. So I'm going to ask you, what is it costing you to keep up with this belief? What's it costing you?
Costing me, like right now, my family, like my wife and my son, it's costing me financial stress. Um, Emotionally, physically, it's draining. Like mentally. You know what I'm saying? To have that belief, so it's very heavy.
Okay. So is the benefit that you're receiving from this belief, do you think it does more harm than good?
Yes, more harm than good.
Okay. Do you believe this?
Not anymore.
I'm going to ask you another question. This is going to be a resolution model. What would you gain if you replaced it with something empowering? What would you gain?
Success, my family, peace, happiness. I would be a better blessing to other people. I would be better serving, like on better knocking on doors.
Okay. How about this? The most important thing of all, because it's going to be the internal representation. How about instead of focusing on all of the ways that you failed throughout your entire life, and then all the ways you're going to fail in the future? Because what happens to a belief If we believe something, we find all of the reasons that make it true in our past. We find present reasons that will make it true, and then we project the stuff out in the future. This is why life is what we created. And so, how about this? How about developing a new empowering belief? You can change the story, you can change your biography, you can change your current present circumstances, and you can change your future.
Mm.
Would you rather have new results, empowering results, or would you rather have the same results that have continued to perpetuate this lie?
New results.
And so let's come up with a new empowering belief. So are you willing to let this belief, is every part of you willing to let this belief go?
Yes,
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
And one other question before we move on. What if you had to know, what would have been the positive intention behind adopting that belief?
To be real, it was like I felt like when my parents got divorced, like I didn't want to obtain that failure. Like I vividly remember like when my dad left the house, right? So like I think the motivating factor was like I don't want to become that. I don't want to have that in my life.
And so you self-preservation, safety, security sounds like the intention behind this, right?
Correct.
So I'm going to ask you one other question. So how has that lie served you with fulfilling that intention? How has it served you?
No way. I don't think there's any benefit from
So,
it.
but somehow you've been perpetuating this lie for a very long time though, right?
Correct.
Because you immediately knew exactly what it was at, and then you gave me a whole list of reasons why that belief is true, right?
Correct.
So I don't know if you can easily see that maybe that belief, it had good intentions behind it, but it has not served you well.
Mm. Mm.
Because one of the things you said, you saw your dad leave, and so you wanted to not be like that, but then you started telling yourself that I am a failure.
Mm.
The, the strategy, the intentions were good, the strategy was wrong, right?
Mm. Correct.
Strategy is terrible strategy. It's something most of us learn. We're like, oh, if I just tell myself I'm a piece of shit, I won't be a piece of shit. But if you tell yourself you're a piece of shit or you're a failure or you're not good enough or whatever it is, whatever the limiting belief is, will actually fold into whatever that belief is because it shifts our focus into finding the ways and means and stuff on how that belief can be true. So I'm going to have you come up with right now, I'm going to have you come up with an empowering belief. What would be an empowering belief that you could institute instead of the belief that you used to have?
Um, Empowering belief would be um it sounds weird, but like I got another motor. Like when I used to wrestle and my coaches would tell me, come on, the guy, like because I wasn't the best wrestler, but I was the hardest worker. So they would always tell me, like, you got another motor, you got another motor. So like I have something good in me that even when bad things happen, I'm able to keep on going and take those bad things in the good. So that I think that would be it. Like I got another motor. I'm an overcomer, you know? I'm gritty. Like I think that's the empowering belief.
So that's very good. That's very good. Would everybody on the call here agree that that's a good belief?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
100%.
Overcomer, you have another motor. You have true grit. I'm gonna say it's like true grit, right? So you have grit. You have the mental resilience and the mental fortitude to continue to propel on despite what happens to you, right?
Correct.
So your homework assignment is to be able to write out that belief. And every single time that you start finding ways and means that will repeat that old belief, you've got to cancel that out. Say cancel, cancel. Instead, I'm this. And the other thing is when you adopt that belief, now you just raise your standards because now stuff to you is unacceptable. Being a bad husband is unacceptable. Being a bad father is unacceptable. Not making deals is unacceptable. Not praying is unacceptable. Not being close to God is unacceptable. Like that belief will empower you and it goes down to the core of your identity. Because that belief, I am a failure, goes to your identity too, but it's just not a good strategy. Had good intention behind it, but now you can see that the current belief that you've chosen to adopt has the same intention, but it's just a better strategy. Would you agree?
I agree.
Much better strategy. I was going to say, I mean, that's a like infinitely better strategy.
Mm.
The other belief had good intentions behind it. It's just a terrible strategy. And a lot of us will develop those types of the beliefs and the intention behind it, we look at the intention behind it, and it's usually it's some form of good behind it, but it's just a terrible strategy. So we've got 9 minutes left. Who else had a limiting belief? Who else piped up?
Me.
Wait, before we move on, do you guys see what we did?
Yes.
This is sales, by the way. Guy has an objection. We figured out what the objection was about. We figured out the good intention behind it. And then we laid the framework. We reframed it to a new belief and still fulfilling the intention. This was the exact framework that I gave you when we first started this call, but now it's going to be developed in a way that of our thinking, of the mindset, of the belief systems and the standards and stuff that we hold. So it's all interwoven and intertwined together, whether we're trying to persuade somebody or whether we're helping somebody kind of change and reframe their mind to something, a better strategy with a new belief system with the good intention behind it. So let's see if we can do this. So the first thing is asking yourself, is this true? Like, where did I develop this from? Is this true everywhere I go? Is this belief applicable in every aspect of my life? And what is it costing me to keep this belief? What does it cost me? What will it cost me? What does it cost me in the past, in the future, in the present, and the future? What's it costing me? And then what do I gain by replacing it? And am I willing to let this thing go and develop a new belief system? So who was the other one that had, Josh, was it you?
I mean, I can go.
Who
Aiden had
who-
one. Aiden
Yeah.
had one.
Yeah, I did post in the chat though, because like this is really great training and for guys that want to do more on it. So I'm in the middle of listening to the book. Breaking Habits.
Josh. We're doing an algorithm, bro. So who raised their hand that wants to
Aiden.
figure out how to defeat this?
Aiden
was-
had one.
Me. Me. Can you hear
Aiden.
me?
All right.
Hello?
Aiden, let's go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so one of my limiting beliefs was that I can go way harder than what I'm doing right now. I don't really got too much limiting beliefs, but those is one of them right there.
I don't think that's limiting.
Or it's not? Oh.
No, I can go way harder. Yeah, all of you guys could go way harder. Everybody could go way harder. Listen, the belief probably isn't. It's probably a should, and then you got to make that a must. That's
Okay.
not a limiting belief. The limiting belief is I could go way harder, but I choose not to go harder because I'm a piece of shit or whatever it was. Does
Yeah.
that, like I could go harder. Every one of us could go harder. The question is why aren't you? Why aren't you going harder? If you know you have more in the gas tank, but you're not full throttling it, why aren't you doing that?
I'm really not too sure. It's like I feel like I'm giving like my best out and I'm going hard, but I know like I can do better. And the reason why I'm probably not like going as hard as I need to go is maybe I'm getting like comfortable, I would say. Getting a little comfortable with, just life in general. Like I'm not like I don't have like the same type of hunger when I was like first coming in and I had like nothing in my bank account. I had almost negative. Well, I did have negatives, but I was super hungry. I would have did anything, like anything. Now I'm getting a little comfortable, I would say, and that's probably why I'm not going as hard as I need to go.
Yeah. So if you were to attach a limiting belief to that, what would be the limiting belief?
I really don't know because I don't really have limiting beliefs, but
Yeah, you obviously do. If you're telling me right now that you're getting comfortable and that you're not doing what you're capable of doing because you've gotten complacent. There's a limiting belief in there. I know what it is, but I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to let you figure it out. If you can't figure it out on this call, then think about it, and then you can text me what the limiting belief is, and we could dissect it. By the way, for all of you guys, everybody on here should be seek and destroy your limiting beliefs. If you can seek and destroy your limiting beliefs and replace the limiting beliefs with empowering beliefs, all of you guys will be superheroes. Like here's the context. We have these programs that keep replaying in our head, and a lot of them are from our childhood. We talk about Eli's, that's from his childhood. Most of the shit that we have that's not serving us is from our childhood. It's very important that we uncover these things and we restate, reframe, find the good. You don't even have to find the good intention. Find out if it's serving you or not. It's not serving you. Well, what's something else that will serve you? What's an empowering belief rather than disempowering belief? The game-changing difference is when you can identify these things. And Aiden, you probably haven't thought a whole lot about why the motivation behind doing things. Have thought about like, why am I doing this? What's the motivation behind this? What is the level of my thinking? Like, why would I go really hard in the paint and then I would take my foot off the gas when I know there's so much more? Why wouldn't I continue to perpetuate this? For me, like a lot of guys will have motivation and we'll go hard in the paint for a little while, but once we start getting the checks start coming in, we let off the gas. I'm the exact opposite. I'm like, dude, if I made $10,000 this week, can I make 20? Can I make 30? What do I have to do to be able to achieve this? I wonder what that looks like. I wonder what's possible. I wonder what I'm capable of. Let's test it. Let's see what it looks like. Right? Rather than be like, oh, dude, I got $10,000 in the bank. I'm good. I'm gonna take a sabbatical. I'm good. I have more money than I've ever gotten before in my life. I think I'm just gonna take off. No. You gotta remain hungry. You gotta be hungry. Dude, if you're not hungry, you're getting fat. I just listened to a motivation video when I was in the cold plunge today. It was David Goggins. He talks about this. Literally just fucking ripped a new one. Talking about people having a fridge full of food and they disqualify themselves for why they can't do this or they can't do that or why they don't need to do that. If every one of you guys could remain hungry and really want this more than you want to eat or want this more than you want to breathe, every single one of you will be absolute ballers and unstoppable. The problem is when you get some money or you get some comfort that we reside in that space. But let me tell you, there's no joy, there's no growth in comfort. Comfort is good. It's decent to take some sabbaticals every once in a while, but there's no growth in comfort. You have to put yourself into uncomfortable positions. And once you peel back that layer of an onion, it's the next layer. It's the next layer. You got to continue to push forward and get yourself uncomfortable so you learn something and so you develop a new skill set. So I want you guys to take the framework that I've given you. I want you to, the first thing I want you guys to do is I want you to find the shoulds. Everybody on the call knows the instruction. Find 5 shoulds. I should do this. 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 Circle the one that will make the biggest impact and then shift that should into a must. Everyone on the call today should raise your standards. What's acceptable to you? There's unacceptable and there's acceptable. Unacceptable and acceptable. What are you willing to accept today? And by the way, as we evolve and change and grow, some things that are acceptable to us today are no longer acceptable. Sometimes we'll lower our standards just depending on the context of what it looks like. Sometimes we'll raise those standards. But everybody on the call today should raise those standards, especially in the solar space. Dude, 1 deal a week, this is easy to do. And I know you guys are like, it's not, but maybe it's your frame of reference and your frame that you're looking at this from. That's the problem. It's not the people. It's not your strategies on knocking doors. It's not any of these things. It's maybe your mind frame that you're actually looking at these things. Change that. Change your should to a must. Identify the limiting beliefs, and all of you guys will be unstoppable. That's the goal and the objective here. And by the way, this training was very powerful training to identify these things. Nobody fucking talks about this shit. Nobody goes layers deep and figures out the motivation and the mechanics and stuff behind these things. So what you guys got a first-class education process in how to develop a different mindset, and it will lead you to different results. Remember, the external representation is a reflection of the internal representation. So whatever you're receiving outwardly, that's the same level of your thoughts, your beliefs, your standards that you have internally. Shift those first before you start working on the external, and watch the external adopt and adapt to your mindset. So love you guys. We've got 2 days left of the week. Let's go out there and crush it.
Hell yeah.
All right. Thanks, Luke.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Thank you, Luke.
Wait,
Thank you so much, Luke.
Luke, so how do you find like a limiting belief, like go deep into it?
Look at stuff that's repeating in your head over and over again. You have them. Most of them are done unconsciously. Most people are unconscious about their limiting beliefs that they have. So how do you find those? You do some introspection. You sit by yourself. You, rather than scrolling and looking at the phone all the time. I think the biggest problem in society today is most of us never take time to reflect and think about what we're thinking about. Most of us have such big distractions in our life today. We never have an opportunity or chance to dissect our thinking and to figure out what it is that we're thinking, what's the motivation behind it. So sometimes it's just like, and the other thing too is you don't have to be always like sitting in meditation. But the other thing, the other way to easily identify these things is just ask yourself, why am I doing like this? Why do I see the same behavior over and over again? And what's the cause of this? Why do I continue to see the same situations over and over again? Everything's cyclical. We continue to see the same patterns in our entire life until we recognize the patterns that are not empowering. And then we're able to delete those patterns and then start a new pattern with pattern creation. Aiden, if you look at your life, I know you're in a different circumstance today. You moved to a different location. But if you look at your life, you could probably dissect it down and you could see the same things that you're encountering today are the same things that you've encountered back in Houston. Same things you're encountering today are things that you've encountered back in your past when you were a kid. Everything's patterns. And it's until we change the cellular level of our thinking that we start seeing different patterns, new situations. And then we start to be able to create patterns in our life today. And the patterns that we talk about literally to be able to change and work on aren't the external, the internal, whatever the patterns and stuff that we're continuously seeing inside of our lives. And why are we seeing this? What belief is backing this up? Ask yourself, what limiting beliefs do I have? And then once you start identifying, write them down and then test them. Test those limiting beliefs to see if they're true. And if they're not true, and if they're not empowering, then you delete them and you reinstall something that will allow you to be powerful. And I'm sure what you can do, I already see the limiting belief that you have with what you said. Ask yourself, okay, I'm like this, I should be doing this. I'm not. I'm let off the gas. I was hungry when I got here. I'm not hungry now. What is the belief that's allowing me, or the standard and the belief that's attached to this is allowing me to let off the gas? What belief is it? Come up with a belief. You'll come up with a belief and write it down. And then if it looks like, yeah, I can see why I have this. And then what's the positive intention behind it? Is this true in every area of my life? No, because when I first got out here, I went hard in the paint. So it's not true. No, it's not. Okay. So what's something that allowed me to be more powerful, empowering rather than disempowering?
Yes, sir.
Love you guys. I gotta go.